Welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined by, once again, my good friend, Matt.
I want you to live your life with the same level of unearned confidence that Yahoo Stream did when they had Community Season 6.
Oh my god. Was that where they went for Season 6? Like after
Season 6 of Community was on Yahoo Stream.
Huh.
Originally.
Did they have any of like the original cast still, or was?
Yeah, they had 4.
Okay.
4 of the original 7.
Okay.
And Ken Jeong was still there, but Ken Jeong was billed as like one of the main cast, but was not one of the main characters.
Yeah.
But Chevy Chase was gone, which was a good thing, and then Donald Glover and Yvette Nicole Brown were gone, and that wasn't as good of a thing. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, Ken Jeong is a national treasure.
He's something.
He's a wild man. Anyways, folks, we're back. It has been a while. We lots been going on, and we finally got a time where we were just like, you know what? It's time. It's time for us to make our great return during draft week of all weeks, the biggest week of the offseason, essentially, for the NFL, because this is where they can pull in the money instead of spend the money on players, maybe in an overrated fashion. But we have so much to talk about, because when we last talked to you, I think the last big headline that happened in any capacity was Brady coming out of retirement.
Oh no.
So that was the last time we had any sort of, conversations of anything. I'm almost certain, unless there's something else that popped up around that time. So we have so much to talk about, because as if we were like, all right, Russell Wilson got traded to the Broncos, that's how wild the offseason is going to get. No. We were fucking wrong. So we have plenty to talk about. And we're going to start. By the way, of course, we were going to talk about news. We have a lot of news to talk about. But it wouldn't be draft week if we didn't get our guy, Chet Avery, on the horn to talk about this year's draft, specifically go through his mock draft. We will talk to him after the commercial break. And in other words, this is going to be a long-ass fucking episode, so just bear with us as we just go through everything that we have.
It's going to be wonderful.
Dissect and get through. So, but we'll try to keep some of the news items as concise as possible. We're going to start, though, with the big Browns quarterback trade. Yes, that's right. Case Keenum getting traded from the Browns to the Buffalo Bills was the biggest headline of this offseason. Your thoughts, Matt?
I think Keenum is a great backup, and I'm happy for him to being able to back up Josh Allen like that.
Yeah, absolutely. he's got to back him up. Where Mitch Trubisky's now gone, he's into the Steelers. Case Keenum is now with the Bills. I think
good choice. Good backup.
I think the most important acquisition for the Bills this offseason, the only true great acquisition for the Buffalo Bills. For
the Bills.
For the Bills to get Case Keenum. Yeah. Did
they not get it? Did they get someone problematic too, or am I just?
Oh no,
my mind?
No, you're good. No, we're
okay.
Good. No, we're gonna just now tread into the problematic territory, where so, long story short, we talked last time you heard from us. The rumors started coming up about Deshaun Watson's movement. It was rumored that he was picking between the Saints, Falcons, and Browns. I think after we filmed that podcast, the Browns got ruled out, and so it was between the Saints and Falcons. And then a crazy twist of fate, Browns decided to sell their entire house, their dog, and every clothing item on the back to get Deshaun Watson to come to Cleveland and represent them, because he is just truly a great representation of the Cleveland organization. So that's where that's at. Now, you don't need to hear us continue to rattle on about, how just shitty of a human being Deshaun Watson is, but what we can say is just our reactions from it from the Browns' point of view, and how me personally, Matt, I hope it goes up in flames.
I hope that for some reason Deshaun Watson is not allowed to play football this year.
Yeah,
because of how horrid of a decision that was for the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to do that.
See, I'm with you on. I'm obviously with you that they shouldn't have fucking done it, right?
Yeah.
The thing is that the shittiest thing about the contract to me was the fact that they tweaked the language enough. So he got so the big thing about this signing was the fact, outside of the problematic nature of it, was the fact that Deshaun Watson got essentially a fully guaranteed contract, where he is gonna get a shit ton of money over time. What they did for this year is that he is only guaranteed $1 million of it. And the reason for that is they know that a suspension is probably coming in some capacity. So that way, he's going to lose pennies, essentially, of his deal when he inevitably... I shouldn't even say inevitably based off the way this league is. But... where he probably gets suspended in some capacity, so that way he's not losing as much money. And so it just fucking tastes like shit, right? It's taking a big old shit sandwich and shoving it down our face is kind of how this all kind of feels. Because ultimately a guy who, if you read the evidence, you know everything, we've already gone over it, he's guilty of something regardless of what the justice system says. So it sucks. It just sucks. But I don't know. Like, do you think, Matt, that even like just putting our like just pure fucking hatred of it all aside, do you think that this is actually going to work out for the Browns? Like, do you think this is actually going to put them in a position where they're going to contend and maybe even win a Super Bowl with just Deshaun Watson?
They could. I mean, they still have a good defense. They have Amari Cooper now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it could absolutely work out, but I don't think that. I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm definitely like not rooting for the Browns. It could be what they need in this sense, but I still don't like. I just don't like that it happened.
I 1,000%, and I think I'm in the boat of, yeah, maybe they contend. What I'm hopeful for is that the AFC, being as deep as it is, is just going to be very difficult to, get through and break through. And I think that there is a chance that there is ample opportunity for this to blow up in their face if they never reach the Super Bowl. Because at the end of the day, this is what it's for. It's for the Browns to finally overcome their ridiculous, shitty history, to finally get to the Super Bowl, mortgage the future, mortgage everything, mortgage their morals. Yeah, to ultimately get to the Super Bowl and win it. And so if that does not happen, it would be an utter failure and an utter trash fire for them as an organization. But we've known them as a trash fire for so long, and it sucks. Yep. I've been someone who has always kind of been behind the Browns as a team, like where I'm like, I want them to succeed because they've been so shitty for so long. I just tend to root for franchises that have had it hard, even if it's self-inflicted wounds in terms of like, how shitty they've been. Like, I've always just been like, all right, well, I do hope one day that this team can go for. As long as Deshaun Watson is the quarterback of that franchise, I am not rooting for them to succeed in any way, shape, or form, and that's just where I'm at. So yeah, that's that. So the next news item, which by the way, the just to foreshadow, Davante Adams is like number 6 on this item report. Just to show how much we have to talk about. In a surprising turn of events, Bruce Arians is no longer the head coach of the Buccaneers. He retired. So Todd Bowles, the former Jets head coach, and has been and for a few years has been the Buccaneers defensive coordinator. He's now in the head coach position. So now Tom Brady, who's come out of retirement, who's now quarterbacking, and then there's been this rumors about how Tom Brady and Bruce Arians, they don't get along, whatever that is. That whole relationship thing that no longer has to play out. Ultimately, Todd Bowles takes charge in this Buccaneers organization. Very strange turn of events.
Yeah, I was not totally. I don't think I totally followed how this all went down.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy for Todd Bowles, and it makes a little more sense why he pulled himself out of the Jaguars job.
That was Byron Leftwich that pulled himself out of the
Byron
Jaguars
Leftwich, my mistake.
No, that's
got my
okay.
Bucks mixed up.
It's totally fine. But Bowles had, I think for many people will look at the Jets head coaching time and say all right, how good of a coach could he be because how he before with the Jets, but there's also something to know about how that first year that I think he was head coach, unless I'm mistaken, I'm pretty sure that his first year was the year of Fitzmagic for the Jets, where they ended up we're on the brink of making the playoffs and ultimately fell short thanks to the Bills. That I think that was his first season. It fell apart partly because of the fact that the front office was not really doing him many favors. And there's also something to be said about how people deserve second chances sometimes, and that this is a case of a guy who is well liked in the league, who has been a coach, who has been a coach for a long time and has done a really good job with the defense the last few years, getting an opportunity, and that's great. Now, in terms of Bruce Arians, he's been contemplating a retirement. And he's been always on that edge. When he retired from the Cardinals, he said that he was done. He went to the broadcasting booth, and then he came out of retirement to coach the Buccaneers. I think that this probably feels very definite now. Like, this feels like he's done now.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's people who are going to read a lot into it. Again, the people doing rumors about how the relationship between Brady and Arians was. I think ultimately it's just he's an older guy who has been in the league, well traveled in the league, done a lot of coaching, has been one of the better coaches in the league, and won a Super Bowl finally. And I think he's just good, and I think that he's ultimately he's been one of the best coaches in supporting diverse candidates, getting a diverse coaching staff, and I think that he also wants to do right by them in terms of keeping them, moving them into a position where they can be head coaches, and Todd Bowles being one of that example of that. And I think that's that's very admirable, and it's something that a lot of head coaches have lacked doing ultimately. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say I agree.
Yeah. Next up, Dolphins. They acquired a wide receiver, and it's Tyreek Hill. That's right. The Chiefs wide receiver forced his way out of Kansas City because of the contract that Davante Adams got. I feel like I should have moved Davante Adams in front of this, but whatever. That's fine. This is how I read it. We're going with it.
Did we talk about Kristen Kirk last time?
I don't know if we went deep into Christian Kirk. I thought we joked about it, I think, at least.
Yeah, well, it's all his fault.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the Jaguars' fault. For all this wide receiver bullshit that's happening right now.
For all the chaos that has unfolded. It's fantastic. It's really great. But yeah, so because of the whole contract situation, the Chiefs for some reason were just like, all right, let's kick him out. He's now going to the Dolphins. And that is a receiver that will be alongside Tua and probably Teddy Bridgewater. If Tua doesn't quite work out. interesting acquisition. What is your thoughts on whichever side you want to look at it for this?
I think it's great for the Dolphins. Obviously, if Tua can't do well here, he's not gonna.
Yeah,
and I think this is a way for the Dolphins to like really test out to see if Tua like has the support with Jalen Waddle, who I think was great with Tua. But now you add Tyreek Hill. Can this offense work out well? And if it doesn't, then hey, maybe it's time to move on from Tua next offseason. For the Chiefs, like part of the reason that Patrick Mahomes is so good is because he's had Tyreek Hill and he's had great weapons, and he's going to continue to do that. Have good weapons, but none as fast and dependable as Tyreek Hill has been.
Sure.
And I'm curious how he's gonna do. Legitimately curious. As great as Mahomes is, I'm curious how he's gonna do with Travis Kelce and probably a rookie wide receiver without the cheetah.
Yeah, it's a major sticking point that I feel like when we look at the roster right now, the wide receiver number 1 at this point might be Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, although of course you do have like Mecole Hardman, who has been there for a while. You also have MVS from the Packers.
Yes, MVS.
and Josh Gordon is on the roster. Like it's still a very interesting group.
I don't consider Josh Gordon part of NFL rosters because he just doesn't do anything when he's on a team anymore.
I know. Yeah.
I used to have him in fantasy, so I'm a little jaded about it.
Fair enough. I understand. Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's like, what is the plan? What are you actually like thinking about in terms of, well, I guess it is just like this draft class is wild in terms of how many wide receivers there be. Like there's so many of these receivers in this class that have a first round grade on them. And so maybe it is a situation where Kansas City might, try to trade up and get, a guy that could eventually become their top guy.
Yeah. They do have 2 firsts, so.
Yeah, they're in position for it. So, it's not crazy necessarily for them to have gotten rid of Hill, but it was a fascinating decision, I guess, just because it was just so unexpected, as has a lot of things this offseason has shown. It's just been kind of wild. But yeah, it'll be interesting. The way that things ended for the Chiefs this past year felt very sour. Like the offense just kind of fell apart at the end of that AFC Championship game, and so it'll be interesting if they can kind of keep that energy going. And they still have Travis Kelce, and I guess maybe that might be enough with at least a subpar group of wide receivers, but we'll see.
Yeah.
The Colts, as we did talk about last time, Carson Wentz shipped away, went to Washington. So who's their replacement? Who have they got? Is it another Carson Wentz? Let's hope not.
I have a kazoo now. They got quarterback Matt Ryan. This has been Matt Watch. I've been saying for a while, or maybe not for a while, but I don't know how long it's been. But I think Matt Ryan is a perfect fit for the Colts. It's crazy that the Colts have had a different starting quarterback for the past like 5 or 6 seasons, which is not usual,
not ideal,
but very funny. And I think Matt Ryan is at the current stage of career with the rest of the team around him. I think Matt Ryan's the best one. Maybe Phillip Rivers, but Matt Ryan is. I think that Matt Ryan played so well last year, with the caveat that his team fucking sucked.
Yeah,
that he's going to do great things here. I think that this is priming the Colts to make a good postseason run, and I hope so for their sake. Yeah. Just don't fucking lose to Jacksonville. My God.
let's have that road game against Jacksonville maybe be like week 1 or something, you know?
Where it doesn't lead to the craziest end of season game ever.
Right, exactly. I'm with you. I think, you know, it's interesting because I think, you know, listening to commentators about it, like, I think people have seen there is a regression in Matt Ryan's play. There has been, you know, he is not where he was in his MVP year. Obviously, it's hard to do that constantly like some of the younger quarterbacks do. But I think a great example that people keep on pointing to is that game. And I know it's against the Jets, but in London last year, where he completely just had like one of his best games of his career in that game. And I think that when you are in that position and you could perform like that, given the roster that the Falcons kind of put out last year, which was not all that great, to put it against this Colts roster, which generally speaking, I think people are still relatively high on. And granted, like, it's not... a few years ago, we would be saying, like, the Colts had one of the most complete rosters, you know, out there. They're kind of lacking our wide receiver. Their offensive line is not as, like, rock solid as it used to be. But at the very least, being with a more competent organization right now, in terms of where things are at, and knowing that they could probably get a wide receiver in this draft. Maybe they fucking traded their first round pick, huh? Okay, never mind. All right, whatever. But still, the second round they had the 42nd pick in the draft. They probably could still get someone there, and ultimately, there's gonna be ways for them to build on this roster and get into a position where they can contend with the Titans, and I think that they'll be in good shape. I think Jonathan Taylor is still going to be good this year. I mean,
he's going to be fucking amazing.
Like I don't think we're at the point where we have to be worried about, you know, all right, is he going to get run into the ground yet? Like, he's still young. That was his first like full season.
Jonathan Taylor is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm excited. I think it is a great pickup for the Colts. Now let's go backwards and go back to that Raiders trade. This was the wild one that really broke my brain. Because go ahead.
We had joked about this on the podcast.
Yes.
On our last episode, and then like a few days later it happened.
That was the wild thing. I was like, there is no way in hell, after signing Aaron Rodgers, that they were going to now trade his best receiver. But they did, and the Raiders are now look really good on paper, and for more reasons than that, which we'll get to in a second. But like, the best receiver in the league, arguably, I know Cooper Kupp has just like proven himself, but like, arguably the best receiver in the league has just been traded to the Raiders because the Packers didn't want to pay him, but the Raiders did. It's insane. It is wild, and this is what's the bleeding to. And obviously, maybe you could say the Christian Kirk thing kind of caused this, but I think this was the trade that kind of caused Tyreek Hill to be where he's at. And then there's the stories about Deebo Samuel and AJ Brown and all these other receivers that also seem unhappy with their teams right now. It's led to this waterfall after this trade in particular. What are your thoughts after this trade happened?
What the fuck is the AFC West?
I know, man.
It's going to be glorious. I hope that this is a nice jump for the Raiders, and I've got mixed feelings on the Raiders as a whole. Sure. But, man, this is like the best receiver that Derek Carr's ever had. I wonder how it's going to translate
easily, yeah, to
like Derek Carr's success compared to the other quarterbacks in the division.
It is interesting. I think a lot of us had the fact that when the Raiders got in last year after the overtime win over the Chargers, I think all of us kind of wanted the Chargers more because Raiders were not as fun. They ultimately put up a fight in the playoff game against the Bengals, who eventually made it to the Super Bowl. So that's admirable. And I don't know, like I feel like we've done a lot of like shitting on the Raiders because their roster never feels like it's meant to go to the playoffs. But right now, I can even tie this to the next story I was going to talk about. Like, their roster is pretty freaking good. It's not. I guess it's not like we still don't look at it and be like it's a Super Bowl contender, but they could also make it to the Super Bowl considering what the Bengals did last year. And to that point, like the Raiders, they also picked up Chandler Jones, who has been a monster for Arizona.
Yeah, that's right.
The last few years. And he's now on the roster, so that defense next to Max Crosby has been great. And they traded Yannick Ngakoue away to the Colts, obviously, to I'm sure just make room for Chandler Jones and ultimately just be like, you know, we think that we're gonna get more production out of Chandler Jones than Yannick Ngakoue, which is fine. But when you look at what they have right now, like, is their secondary perfect? No. You know, is there, you know, do we feel like, you know, Josh Jacobs and that running back core is going to be like all that amazing? We'll have to see. But that receiving core for Derek Carr is going to do wonders. They still have a really great offensive line. And now you have two really good pass rushers that's going to really make this team fun to watch. And I think, like, you know, we'll have to see how Josh McDaniels performs as head coach, but this is as good of a roster that you could pick up as a new head coach compared to any other kind of situation. Like, he's in very good shape right now.
Yeah.
It's real good. It's real good for them. Next up here, another trade that happened this year. We'll talk about. I'm gonna switch things around here. There's another trade that happened, and it was the Titans who picked up wide receiver Robert Woods, who ultimately he was traded from the Rams after he tore his ACL last year, missed out on the Rams Super Bowl championship, but of course still got his ring out of it. And of course, with the way he was performing last year and doing well last year, you know, absolutely, you know, deserving of that ring regardless. I don't think you have to play in the championship necessarily to be to lose that title necessarily.
Right.
But the Robert Woods now coming off the ACL is now going to be playing for the Tennessee Titans. He's going to be wide receiver 2 behind A.J. Brown for now. But like at the same time, it's like, what's the situation with A.J. Brown given the recent kerfuffles on social media in terms of not kerfuffles. I mean, he's calling out his team and just people around the organization. It seems like it being like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm not being respected enough, and it's the same old bullshit that we get for most of these wide receivers. It feels like. But what do you think about Robert Woods through the Titans?
I think it fits. You don't have Julio anymore. Adding Robert Woods, really reliable, fantastic wide receiver too. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be good. I think they're gonna do good things with that. I think he's gonna be more productive than Julio Jones was last year. Yes,
so
correct. I also agree with that.
That's kind of where we're at. Now the trade I was just about to talk about was actually a trade that did not involve any players, but it was a first round draft trade in an interesting turn of events. The Eagles initially owned the 16th and 19th overall pick of the draft, while the New Orleans Saints owned the 18th pick. They decided to swap those along with a bunch of other picks, which I think included a 2023 first round pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. What do you think this is about, Matt?
I have no fucking idea.
Because now the Saints have 2 first-round picks, and giving up their future first-round pick. Are they, like, is this a team that is... Does this sound like a team that is trying to win now?
The Eagles or the Saints, sorry.
Oh, sorry, it's the Saints.
The Saints?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I don't think so, but like the Saints are this enigma of a team because they seem like the type of team that always wants to win now, but they don't have they're just never in a position where they can do above middle of the pack.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say that maybe they're going to end up targeting a quarterback. I mean, they are...
Yeah.
I mean, I know they re-signed Winston. They have 2 picks ahead of the Steelers right now, so that's I think where a lot of people might see a quarterback being taken, unless of course there's the rumors that Panthers might take Pickett at 6, with their pick. But I don't know, like that. It feels like such a strange trade, but maybe this is gonna work out for them. I think for the Eagles, it feels like a no-brainer trade for a draft that is not very deep, to trade for a pick that's going to ultimately give them benefits in the future, where I don't know, purely guessing at this point, I'm guessing 2023 will be a stronger draft than this,
I guess.
That's why I'm pulling, because that's usually how this works, is that you get like one of these stinkers of a draft, and then ultimately the future ends up being a little bit more interesting. So I don't know. I think the Eagles fleeced the Saints here.
I don't know. I don't. The Eagles are not an organization that I trust with that much forethought, but who knows?
I feel like at this point Howie Roseman has done enough to say, like, he knows how to work it. Where they got Carson Wentz out of there with a first-round draft pick somehow. You know what I mean? Like, they somehow worked that into fruition. So I don't know. I trust the front office maneuvering. Whether they have stuck the landing on their picks is obviously another question. The wide receivers are a great example of that, being like they have not really nailed that pick in a while, but we'll see. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do moving forward, as well as the Saints. All right, let's dive into free agency real quick. The Bills. I of course was joking earlier that the biggest acquisition that the Bills had this offseason was Case Keenum. The Bills, the biggest acquisition that they had was linebacker Von Miller.
How could I have forgotten? I legitimately forgot about this.
Yeah, this was that to me. This is one of the bigger signings of the offseason. Very, very big deal. Obviously, I think the big question is, the deal being putting the amount of investment they are putting in Von Miller, despite his age, is maybe the most riskiest part about this deal.
Mm-hmm.
But given how he played last year, not all that surprising.
Could you imagine, like Von Miller's already going in the Hall of Fame, but imagine like winning Super Bowl MVP with the team that drafted you, getting traded, win a Super Bowl with that team, and then signing with another team, and then winning a third.
Just winning a third Super Bowl that way.
A third Super Bowl, like instant Hall of Fame.
Oh, absolutely.
If he does that, and he might already be first ballot. Like it's
yeah, straight up. I would be curious if there's ever been a player that has won. I would imagine there has been, but if there's ever been a player that has won a Super Bowl with 3 different teams, I feel like that has to be something that has happened, right?
I'm sure there has. LeGarrette Blount, of all people, got close, winning with the Patriots and the Eagles. So, like, even if it's not like a big name player, it's had to have happened.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up now. But meanwhile, let's talk about another linebacker, another Hall of Fame potential linebacker, Bobby Wagner, who was, of course, we talked about it where he got released around the time that Russell Wilson got traded, with the Seahawks essentially blowing everything up. And so now Bobby Wagner decides, you know what? Fuck you. I'm signing with the Los Angeles Rams, and I'm staying in division. I'm going after whoever your quarterback is next year, whether it's Baker Mayfield or Geno Smith or whatever they end up landing on there.
The Seahawks, not the Seahawks. The Rams just are really good at having a roster. That sounds really stupid, but you lose Von Miller, and you just like, okay, Bobby Wagner, sure, sign him. It works. Yeah. You fill the void that was left, and you're still going to compete for a Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, it's
the salary
incredible.
cap does not exist for Los Angeles teams.
Yeah, I think the salary cap is an enigma. It doesn't actually
It's a
exist.
myth. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's a complete myth.
Make it a signing bonus. There you go.
Yeah.
You're done.
So I'm
same amount of money.
I'm gonna react to this to Wagner in a second, but I will. Upon looking it up initially, looks like Matt Millen did win a Super Bowl with 3 different teams: the Raiders, the 49ers, and the Washington Commanders. But of course, they weren't called the Commanders back then. But
yep.
So he won it. But he technically won it 4 times because he won it with the Raiders twice. So I am curious if any player has won 3 Super Bowls.
Exactly 3.
Exactly 3, all with different teams. That's what I would want to look up next, but I would have to probably do a deeper research dive into that.
I think this counts. He did win a Super Bowl with 3 different teams.
Yes, he did. So. He did. So yeah, he's got it. He got it.
Yeah.
Bobby Wagner is. I think that he still has been playing well. He's obviously, he is getting older and he's not at the level that he used to be, but he's still a dominant player, was still one of the most important players on that Seahawks defense last year. And the fact that now he's basically the replacement for Von Miller on this Rams defense is phenomenal. I love what the Rams are doing. I love a team that is willing to just keep on swinging and keep on swinging, and that does not give a shit in the world, like you said about the salary cap or anything. They're willing to do anything, and that's what that is for Bobby Wagner. That's big time signing. I have a notepad that I've been keeping track of all the different other free agency signings. I'm gonna hit a few that maybe might be interesting. Speaking of the Rams, Allen Robinson is now on the Rams. What was your thoughts on this? Good
for him. He'll get to play with a good quarterback. He's on a good team. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it.
I have an Allen Robinson Bears jersey, so if you're curious about my thoughts on the player, pretty positive.
Yes, there you go. OJ Howard went to the Bills. Interesting, obviously ended up kind of being just kind of phased out slowly with the Bucs. Goes to the Bills. That's going to be a nice weapon for them for the future. We already touched on Juju Smith-Schuster, but he's with the Chiefs now. Oh my God, the most important free agency signing. How the fuck did Johnny Hacker get released from the Rams? That's the one thing I question about the Rams.
That's wild. I don't get it. He's such a good punter. Why do you get rid of a good thing?
Yeah.
When you got a good punter? I'm looking at you, Bears and Pat O'Donnell.
Yeah, I don't understand, but he's but good news for you, Matt. He landed with the Panthers. So
yeah, no, that's good.
That's the good news of that. Any thoughts on Byron Pringle to the Bears?
Well, he got arrested.
Oh, did he really? Wait, when
he got arrested for reckless driving in Florida?
When the fuck did this happen?
On a suspended like yesterday.
Oh, okay. I'm like, when did I completely missed that. Oh yeah, shit. I'm looking back at some of my notifications yesterday at 7:00. Wow. All right. Well, there's that.
Decline to comment.
Yeah, there you go. That's fair. Let's see. All right. So then let's talk Falcons for a second. Marcus Mariota is now the quarterback there, and supposedly is going to be the starter. Interesting choice, because ultimately this was a scramble move for them, because they were going for Deshaun Watson, and now because they scrambled, they're going to end up with Marcus Mariota. I do like that the punishment for the Saints and Falcons. I know this is mean, but I like that the punishment for the Saints and Falcons for pursuing Deshaun Watson is them having to settle on the 2 draft busts that are the 2015 number 1 and number 2 picks. Like I do kind of enjoy that. But I will say, like, I want to be fair to Marcus Mariota, who seems like a wonderful human being. I think that this might work out better for them than maybe Jameis Winston with the Saints. I know Winston played well with the Saints. I'm just saying, like, I feel like Mariota has proven more in his backup role with the Raiders than he ever did with anything in Tennessee. Like, it shows that he can play, right?
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think Mariota's got a pretty good chance to do something here.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. And obviously, Falcons are probably on the table for a quarterback. We'll see if they do anything with that in this year's draft. Zadaria Smith, one of the big, who was ultimately released by the Packers, but who was a great defensive player for them a few years back. He's now signing a division with the Vikings. The biggest free agent name of this draft was one of the biggest, or not the draft, in free agency this year, was the offensive lineman Terran Armstead, who was with the Saints. He signs with the Dolphins, so yet another upgrade for Tua and that offense. Malcolm Butler's back with the Patriots, which I wonder how that meeting went, considering when Belichick benched Butler during the Super Bowl. But that's water under the bridge, I guess. I'm trying to think. Sammy Watkins to the Packers, so that is your...
They did it. They solved their wide receiver issue.
Yeah, there you go.
They did it. No need to draft one.
Where are they picking? They're picking 28, right? Okay, yeah.
No, they got 2. They got 22 and 28.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yes, that's right. So that was the Devontae Adams. You got to... Yep. Please, for the love of God, draft a wide receiver with 2 first-round picks, because good Lord.
But it would be really funny if they didn't.
Oh, 1,000%. I'm rooting for that. I would be rooting for that. The last signing I have here is Stephon Gilmore to the Colts. Now, I know he didn't perform all that great with the Panthers, but he is still considered a high-octane prospect for quarterback, and so maybe that works out for the Colts.
Yeah, I think it's good signing. I think it fits the team well.
Good depth signing. Before we go to break, one last news story. Overtime rules have changed. We are now going to get, in the postseason only, which I think is the right call, in the postseason only, both teams will get possession. And I just think this is easily the right call. I am completely behind this.
Yep. It's been long overdue. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
Please.
Go ahead.
Yes. I need it. Keep it how it is in the regular season. Sure. In the postseason, those games are way too fucking important. And we've seen multiple times over the course of the past couple seasons where, man, someone just doesn't get the chance to touch the ball. Josh Allen does not get the chance to touch the ball, and the Chiefs win because of a coin toss.
Right.
And that doesn't feel like what it should be because of how everything else in the league is structured. The fact that a team can lose because of a coin toss is not good.
Yeah, 1,000% with you. I don't understand why. I don't understand why the hesitancy to this by people. I get that people are like, defense matters. But I think when you're in the regular season, I get it. There's games stacked on top of each other. You don't want them to run too long. You want them to be 10 minutes and done. Whoever wins the coin toss, just end the game. Let's move on. But I also think once you get to the postseason, in theory, those are your 14 strongest teams in the league. They've proven that they are at the best level, and I think because of that, they don't need to prove anything. They don't need to prove that they have a great defense. I think that the strong elements of that team should be that should be what is showcased in overtime. It shouldn't be that like, all right, well, you have to compete in all phases. Well, if you have one phase that works well for you, I think that you should still have a chance for that. And because otherwise it does get ridiculous. So I am all for this. I enjoy this. Thank you, NFL, for making a smart decision amongst your many weird decisions. Actually, one more thing, because it just came to mind while I just said NFL's dumb decisions. I think that this is the first time we're recording since Brian Flores got hired by the Steelers, which I think is a big deal and important.
I agree.
And there's more plaintiffs being added to the lawsuit. I think I know Steve Wilkes was one of them. I'm trying to remember who the other one was. I think it was someone who interviewed with the Titans, but I'm just forgetting what their name was. But regardless, there's more plaintiffs being added to the lawsuit. Let's hope that this is a lawsuit that ultimately gets pushed to the court system and not through arbitration, because arbitration ultimately is where these kind of allegations go to die, and where the league gets away with those things. So that's what they're pushing for. Let's hope that that's not the case. Let's go, Brian Flores. Very happy for him that he got a job still. All right. Well, that's that. We went through all the news that I at least wrote down. I'm sure I missed something, and that's fine. We can talk about it at some point. We have the draft to talk about, and Matt, I'm going to relieve you of your duties. You're done for the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're okay. I mean, I know you want to meet Chet, but
I'm like really busy this week, so
yeah. No,
I'll appreciate the extra time off. I still gotta like unpack shit.
Yes. Yeah. I know. It's a lot of work, but
Turn that off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I definitely we'll have a podcast at one point with you guys both on it, but just for now, just because timing purposes, I want to give you a chance to breathe and relax. When we come back from break, we're gonna have Chet Avery on, and he's gonna go take us through the mock draft, and so we'll see you after some words from our advertisers. I fucked that up, but whatever. You go to break. It has been 2 years since we started Team Chaos Productions, and we would not be where we are today without the help of Anchor. You've heard us talk about it all the time, but let me remind you, this completely free platform gives creators the tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast from your computer or phone. Once done, Anchor will distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more, so you don't have to. You can also make some money on the episodes with no minimum listenership. It's everything you'd ever want in a podcasting platform, so download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Happy podcasting.
Sick of talking about video games with people who just want to be toxic? Me too. So join us over at the Gaming Coop. We come together each month to talk about what we love about video games. Discussion topics range from our favorite soundtracks to the best relationships between characters. We also have some fun segments in which we play some trivia or build our school of gaming. Find us on Anchor or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Game on!
And we are back. We are joined by the one, the only, the greatest draft analyst that you will ever get a chance of meeting. Chet Avery.
Check. You're not chanting.
Oh, so Chet.
There you go.
Welcome back, Chet Avery. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. How's life been treating you over the last year since we last talked to you?
Oh, it's great. My cryo sleep was just lovely.
Oh.
Had the temperature just right.
So you actually froze yourself for a year? That's wild.
Just this year. I wanted to try it.
Oh yeah. Well, it works out though. That clearly that works. It didn't freeze you to death. That's cool. That's neat.
No, I still got some nerve damage in my toes.
Oh well, yeah.
But they said they said that'll come back.
Okay, well that's good. Well, hopefully you get functioning your toes again. That's important. But at least you do have function of your fingers, correct? Because I feel
of course.
You at least needed that to keep track of this draft. Now I'm going to be honest with you, Chet. I'm here. I can usually sit here and bounce off of you with ideas about this draft and talk to that. I have no idea what's happening with this draft. I have nothing. I barely know the prospects. I feel like I'm completely out of the loop. So you have to guide me through this. All right.
I'll do my best.
You have to kind of carry the weight of this. But I'll try my best. But this could be maybe the worst I'm going to be in terms of trying to understand what's happening with this draft.
Well, no one can understand quite as much as I do. So
of course, no, it's hard to get to that level. I was just trying to get at least to that pedestrian level, where the Mel Kipers are and the Daniel Jeremiahs. Those were there. They are at the pedestrian level.
Mel Kiper can't do shit.
Yeah, no.
Worst takes I've ever seen.
No, it's hard to even be him, not even talking about how great you can be as a draft analyst. So I'm ready to hear where you see this draft playing out in this for this year.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
Damn right. That's why I do. All right, so let's get started. So this Thursday we're gonna kick things off with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They once again have the number 1 overall pick. They have the quarterback already. And, I mean, obviously, the quarterback talent in this draft seems not to be that great, so you wouldn't probably go quarterback anyway. Where do you see them going for this pick?
They got to get that defense back, and I think the best the best option for them is going to be Aiden Hutchinson.
All right, so the Michigan
great
guy.
talent there.
Yeah. All right. So that guy, he was among the Heisman finalists, if I remember correctly.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So big time player. They have some young defensive players on their team, so adding yet another one will really get Jaguars prepare them to beat the Colts once again in their home. So what about the Lions then? The Michigan guy is off the boards. What do they do?
Well, so the Lions wanted the Michigan guy because they're both Michigan,
Yeah.
But that would have been too easy for a draft, of course. So the Jaguars have to ruin everyone's fun. Mm-hmm. So Trayvon Walker is going to go to the Lions.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that was the linebacker from Georgia, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I should get up a list of where these players are from.
No. You're fine. Like you don't have to do that for every single one of those. I'm just trying to remember in my brain associate the names with their college and position. But great, yeah. So yes, another young defensive player that they can add to their roster. The Lions feel like a team that could maybe make some noise this year.
Maybe.
Just especially in a beaten down NFC that is not very interesting. And now we go to the Texans, who finally have Deshaun Watson out of their hair. What is going to happen with this pick?
The Texans have a couple picks in this first round with their excellent handling of the situation. Mm-hmm. And I think with this pick, and it's been a while since the Texans have had an early pick. Usually it's gone to the Dolphins after that Laramie Tunsil trade.
Yes, yeah, I forgot about that. Yep.
But I wanted for the Texans, they gotta maximize on these picks, right? So I chose the guy with one of every vowel in his last name, Kayvon Thibodeau.
Wow, you're right. Holy shit, he does have a very vowel heavy last name.
You're asking where's the Y? Check out the first name, Bucko.
Fantastic. Yeah, this is the guy that was going to be, if I remember, like from early conversations, he was considered the number 1 overall pick, and then I think something happened where people just soured on him. But this would be a huge pickup for Texans, who need a star defensive player since they got rid of J.J. Watt. So, yeah, fantastic. Very nice pick. All right. The New York is the name of this, is basically the theme of this top 10, as Giants have 2 picks and the Jets have 2 picks. The Jets pick first with the 4th overall pick. What's happening with them first?
So, you ever see that movie Castaway?
I haven't, but I know enough about Wilson.
About Wilson, of course, yes, and you can see where this is going. So the Jets are, of course, not a train wreck of a team because they're planes. They're a plane wreck of a team. So you got to choose the guy named Wilson, of course, Garrett Wilson, as their wide receiver.
There you go. Yeah, they need to support Zach Wilson. Get a wide receiver that does that for you. Absolutely. All right, so yeah, very nice pick there. What do you about the Giants at number 5 overall? My Giants. Where did my Giants go, my friend?
Well, of course it's the Giants, so of course I have to pick them drafting an offensive line. That's just how it works. That's how drafting works. So the Giants are going to choose Ike Ekwonu.
Hell yeah. I love it. That just inject that into my body. That's the kind of pick I like to see from the Giants.
The offensive line early on in the draft.
Yeah, most important position in the league, in my opinion.
I agree.
Is offensive line, and so genuinely speaking, like this is a offensive line that has had trouble despite them doing some effort to fix it, on a consistent basis. So hey, throw more at it. Throw more picks at it. Throw more players at it. See if it finally works. I'm very happy with this pick. You're making me a very happy man, Chet.
Good.
But now you have to make Matt a very happy person because one of his teams, Carolina Panthers, sitting there at number 6. What do you think what kind of pick do you have cooked up here?
So a lot of people are going to say, hey, the Panthers might be taking a quarterback here. I'm not one of those people. I think that Jimmy Garoppolo would be a perfect fit for this team.
Yeah.
So to help out Mr. Jimmy, they're also going to draft an offensive line here and take Evan Neal with their pick.
Yeah, so Evan, that was another number 1 overall guy that was projected initially, but the fact that he felt number 6 for the Panthers, that would be big deal, a great thing for them.
Absolutely.
Very, very, very nice pick there. All right, we're back once again to the Giants. This was the pick that they got from the Bears.
Yes.
For the Justin Fields pick. So what did the Giants do with the number 7 overall pick?
So the Giants got their offensive line that they're used to. Now they need a little extra something. They need something to coat on top of their team. They need some sauce.
Oh, yes.
Sauce Gardner.
Yes.
Going to the Giants.
This is the one player I keep on hearing about because he just seems like such a fantastic personality. And I would love this pick. If the draft falls this way, and the Giants could trade down, and I'd be okay with that too. But if they get an offensive lineman that was projected to go very high, and Sauce Gardner, who is the best cornerback in this draft, I'd be a very happy human being. So thank you, Chet, for making me feel good about this team.
You're welcome.
Next up, it's the Atlanta Falcons. What's going to happen here?
Unfortunately, I do not think that Marcus Mariota is going to be the long-term solution for the Falcons, so I think this is where the first quarterback goes off the board, and the Falcons are going to draft Malik Willis.
Whoa! All right, so I'm surprised by this check because I think a lot of there's people that are saying that we might not see a quarterback go in the 20s. Although I will say, if I think about it a little bit more, knowing how desperate people are for quarterbacks, this would not completely shock me either.
No, not at all.
If a team stretches for a quarterback, Malik Willis? Do you feel like that's what makes Malik Willis the best quarterback in this draft to you?
Honestly, whether or not he's the best quarterback doesn't matter. I think he's just who the Falcons are going to choose.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, he seems like he has a lot of talent, and and I think that's more than enough for someone in terms that you want to build to become your franchise quarterback. And Arthur Smith, of course, has a great history of making quarterbacks good. Just Ryan Tannehill, but you know what I mean. All right, next up, the Seattle Seahawks, who did not have a first round pick coming in to the offseason. Then got a first-round pick from the Denver Broncos after trading their franchise quarterback in Russell Wilson. So the Seahawks are very much in rebuild mode, as much as Pete Carroll wants us to think that they are not. So what do you think the Seahawks are going to do here?
I mean, a quarterback may make sense for them too, but I'm going with the other type of back, and that's the cornerback. They're going to try to rebuild their Legion of Boom defense and get someone who can sting. Derek Stingley is going to be drafted by the Seahawks.
Okay, fantastic. Now, it's just so you know, that just shows how much I've been paying attention to the draft. I did not know Derek Stingley was a cornerback. I knew his name
with a C.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I knew he was a defensive player of some kind. I think because there's so many pass rushers, I just assumed he was a pass rusher.
That's fair.
That's not the case though. He is a cornerback. Clearly, but very nice. Derek Stingley goes to the Seahawks. Now we have the Jets rounding out the top 10 here. This is the pick that they got from Seattle. I think in the trade was this the?
I think it's still Jamal Adams.
This is still the Jamal Adams trade. For some reason I feel like Jamal Adams got traded years ago.
It was probably about 3 years ago. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
It was a wild trade.
Yeah, it hasn't really worked out for them either.
Nope.
All right. Well, at least for the Seahawks. For the Jets, it's working out nicely because they're picking number 10 overall right now. What do you think about this pick?
I mean, you got the J team, right? You got to get the guy with all the J's, Jermaine Johnson.
Very, very nice.
Add on that defense for Mr. Saleh.
There you go. All right. Now we move on to the Washington Commanders, who are This is the first time that they're drafting under their new name.
Yep.
What do you think? What do you think about the Washington Commanders' name, Chet? What do you?
Oh, it's horrible. It's so uninspired. Look, they've been shitty for a really long time, and I've hated them for a really long time because Cowboys fan.
No,
but
yeah.
Man, this name is so shitty.
Yeah. What's a name that you feel like would have been better for them?
The Hogs.
You also are on the hog train.
Yes, and not even red hog or like ball hog or anything. Just hog.
Let's get the hog.
Just lean into it.
Don't even add the S. Just they're
the hog. The Washington hog.
They're the idea of hog.
The concept.
The concept of hog.
The concept of hog.
So what do you think the Washington hog will do?
The Washington hog has a huge PR crisis right now. Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah.
And so they need something that is in the popular conscience of America right now. And this may be like 5 years too late, but they always seem to be a little bit behind the times.
Sure.
So they're gonna draft Kyle Hamilton.
That's phenomenal. That's a great pick. This is a guy that I keep on hearing about. He's a safety, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
And this is someone who was initially, like, people were saying, like, maybe he should be a top 5 pick, but because of everyone is just like, well, safety isn't as big of a position, and because people are, like, on Mount Pius for that, and then then he runs like a bad 40, and then that all of a sudden turns him into the worst player ever. Like, ridiculous stuff from the draft conscious out there. But what a great pick for the Washington Hog. Now we move on to the Minnesota Vikings. What are you thinking for them?
So, Chris, did you know that that while Vikings are primarily associated with Norse countries,
sure,
they also have a bit of a history in Ireland as well.
I've heard about that.
Yeah. So I decided to choose the most Irish name that I could find. So Trent McDuffie is going to be on the Vikings.
What's the position for that?
Cornerback. Lots of cornerbacks as well. Like a scary number.
All right. So add to that secondary. Patrick Peterson to re-sign there. So that's a good 1-2 punch for the Vikings. Very nice. All right. Now we move on back to the Texans. This is the pick they got for the Deshaun Watson trade. So what are they going to turn this into, Matt?
I think that. So I think that this Davis Mills guy is gonna have a great year this year, and so they're gonna need to get some help for them. And I think that Chris Olave will be the person to help this team become alive.
Fantastic. There you go. All right, so that is 2 solid picks for the Texans on both sides of the ball. Now, Baltimore Ravens. They haven't done anything with their draft pick. They're just sitting pretty at number 14. What do you think they're going to do?
I think they need offensive line help a lot. Prevent their receivers from tearing their fucking ACLs, and help Lamar Jackson to get some more time to do whatever the hell he wants. I believe that the Ravens are going to draft Charles Cross.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, it's wild. Like, last year they had a rough time with their secondary because everyone kept on getting injured. But when all of them are healthy, it's a wild fucking group of people in the secondary right now.
Oh yes.
And so if they can all stay healthy, and then you get an offensive lineman who's going to keep the offensive side of the ball healthy, this team is prime for a bounce back year. They absolutely should be back to contending this year. So really, really nice pick there. All right, now we got the Eagles, who traded with Miami. What was this trade now? I forget what this trade was. It says
I
here,
have no idea.
Miami traded its first round selection as well as a 2021 first and fourth round selections for Philadelphia's 2021 first and fifth round selection. Oh, okay. So yes, I do remember this. This is when Miami traded up in the draft last year.
Yes. Yes.
To get, ultimately they got Jalen Waddle. This is the first round pick that they gave up to do that. So interesting. Okay. So then what are the Eagles going to do here?
Well, the Eagles have drafted a wide receiver in the first round for the past 2 drafts, and I don't see any reason for that to change. So the Eagles are going to draft Jamison Williams.
Okay. There you go. So actually, when we were having that conversation, or when me and Matt were having that conversation before the break about this trade that went down, so the Eagles still get to keep both of their draft picks this year, and they'll get 2 draft picks next year.
Excellent.
That is wild value that they have gotten for them. We'll talk about that trade. We'll talk about that Eagles pick in a second, but we'll start with the Saints pick, the first Saints pick that they got from the Eagles in that trade with the number 16 overall pick. This was initially Indianapolis's Colts first round pick, but it was given to the Eagles for Carson Wentz. So what do you think's going to happen with the Saints here?
Well, the Saints have someone on their roster right now who likes to throw a lot of picks, right? Why not add someone to that room with Pick in his last name? Kenny Pickett is going to get drafted by the Saints here.
Okay. All right. So that's 2 quarterbacks off the board now. It'll be interesting how that continues to evolve. The Steelers must be seething right now. I fucking hate that word now that's been used in the lexicon the way it has. But anyways, number 17 overall, Los Angeles Chargers, sitting pretty. Obviously didn't make the playoffs last year, but they still have a pretty decent roster. Well, how do they add to that?
Well, I think they have all the pieces in place, and they're just going to look for an extra bit of help there on their offensive line and take Kenyon Green, because when you take their blue and their yellow,
you get Green.
Nope.
Wait.
I fucked up the pick. That one's a little bit later.
Okay.
The Chargers are actually taking Trevor Penning.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I mean,
listen. We got 2 Eagles Saints picks.
Yes.
And then another Eagles Saints pick immediately after. I'm gonna fuck it up at some point.
No, it's fine. There's a lot. There's a lot going on here in terms of mixing things up here. But yeah. So let's move on to that Eagles pick they got from the Saints. What do you got here for number 18 overall?
I mean, I feel like they're with that wide receiver, their offense is pretty set. So let's help the defense and get Jordan Davis, which just sounds like the name of an Eagles player.
It very much does. It very much does. I agree with that. Next up, yes, is the Saints again. This is the pick they got from Philadelphia in that same trade. What do you got here?
Same thing. We're going to go back to the defense for them and get Logan Hall. Bit of a stretch for the Saints, but the Saints are known for stretching it.
They got to stretch it.
Yep.
They got to stretch it, ultimately. The Pittsburgh Steelers are next up. This team, I think a lot of people have them pegged for a quarterback, but again, you already have 2 quarterbacks off the board, so do they stick with that, or they go in a different direction?
I mean, their offensive line is shit, so this is where Kenyon Green is going.
There you go.
When I fucked on my pick earlier.
That's okay. That's fine. All right. Well, I mean, it is the Steelers, so you know that they make a lot of green.
Oh, yes.
Way. Because that's a big old brand right there. Number 21 overall, the New England Patriots. What do you think Bill Belichick is cooking up for this pick?
So, the Patriots really like defensive players named Devin. And by that, I think there's one guy named Devin McCourty.
Yeah,
but there's
right.
There's gonna be another Devin, and it's Devin Lloyd joining their linebacking room.
All right. Yeah, their defense needs to get younger. I've been very surprised that they haven't released a lot of their older veterans. But Bill Belichick loyal to the real good players, and but if you at least get some young guys in there, that could do wonders for them. All right, here we go. Packers first pick. This is the draft. The number 22 overall pick is the pick that the Packers got from Las Vegas in exchange for Davante Adams. What do the Packers do here?
Well, you got so many such a high paid player on the offense. So you got to balance out that money a bit, right? So the Packers are going to draft Devontae Wyatt.
Okay.
For defense, for their defense.
All right. So not going wide receiver just yet.
Nope.
We'll see what they do.
Stay tuned for later.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Now this is all of our playoff teams here. It has been for a bit, but this is our. We're getting deeper now. Arizona Cardinals, 23rd overall. They're in doing a back and forth with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray now seems like he wants to play for the Cardinals, but yet his agent is doing some weird press release shit, trying to get Kyler Murray paid. But ultimately, it seems like Kyler Murray is going to be the quarterback for this team, so they don't have to worry about that. So what direction do they go in?
Well, I think they need to boost their defense. I was considering giving them a wide receiver here, but I think that they're good without them. I'm going to go with Andrew Booth.
Okay. All right. And then we follow that up with the Dallas Cowboys, your team.
Oh, my pride and joy.
Yes, it is time for them to pick what is this the player that will get them over the hump to the divisional round?
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, we lost Amari Cooper, so I think we need a good replacement for him. And wrong college. Never mind. But Alabama wide receiver Treylon Burks would be the perfect addition for this offense.
There you go, alongside CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup, who got paid.
Gallup's back.
So
what a perfect name for a Cowboy player.
It truly is. It truly is. But there you go. So now we move to the Buffalo Bills. This is the divisional round losers. What do the Bills do to continue to build on their really great roster?
Yeah, they got such a great roster that they got to add some pizzazz to it. So I decided to give them one of the coolest names in the draft, and that's Daxton Hill.
Oh, that's a guy that you run through a brick wall for.
Absolutely. Daxton Hill is such a good name that they just had to go to the Bills.
There you go. Number 26, Tennessee Titans. Not super surprising that they ended up losing the divisional round necessarily, but still, being number 1 overall in the AFC and then losing kind of sucks. So how can they improve that, Chet?
Well, you can do that by getting one of the best former college basketball players' namesake on your team. That's Zion Johnson.
Ah, there you go. And then we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who get Brady back, so they don't have to worry about quarterback necessarily right now. What's going to happen with them?
So I think that their defense and their front is absolutely great. I think that adding to that would be great. And I think the best player to do that would be David Ojabo. Okay,
I like that name too.
And if he gets good on the Buccaneers, because Buccaneers use swords, he can become David Ostabo.
Okay.
Because of the sword.
I know where you're going with it. That was my first face palm, I think, of this which granted took longer to get to than I expected. So there you go. Now we're back to the Packers. Are they going wide receiver here, Chet?
Well, no, Chris, they paid this guy a lot of money. You gotta protect him, right? They're gonna draft Tyler Linderbaum for their offensive line to protect this guy they paid so much money.
Yeah.
They don't want him getting injured in his old age.
Sure. Especially with all the side effects of ivermectin, you need to be.
They don't want him breaking his knees and shitting his pants.
Just out of curiosity, because I know you go deep into this draft, right?
Right.
And you really project, how the whole draft goes. Do the Packers eventually pick up a wide receiver for you?
In like round 7.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So that'll make Packers fans happy.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. Number 29 on this list is the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're gonna have them for 2 picks in a row here. The first of these picks, of course, comes from Miami after they traded Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
I think Miami initially traded with San Francisco. I think this was for. This was. I think it was another one of the like move around trades. I think that Miami initially was at like. I think that was their 3rd overall pick, and then the 49ers traded up to that or something like that. I forgot how.
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right.
Yeah. So that's that. What do you think the Chiefs do first?
Well, actually, I'm going to talk about 29 and 30 together because they're both related.
Sure. Okay,
losing Tyreek Hill is a big deal, and I think that the Chiefs are going to take rather than do a dart throw, they're going to like put a handful of darts and just throw them all at the board and just to see what sticks. So they at 29 and 30, they're going to draft both Jahan Dotson and George Pickens wide receivers.
Okay. They're just making it deep. They're going deep on the wide receiver trade.
Yep.
Very different strategy to the Packers, but I can respect that. Very, very different.
I mean, they just traded away Tyreek Hill, one of the best receivers in the league. They got to find some way to replace him.
1,000%. 1,000%. Number 31 overall is the Cincinnati Bengals. This is, of course, who knew this time last year that the Bengals would make it to the Super Bowl? But of course, they unfortunately fell short. Just short. What can they do in this draft to get them over the edge?
Well, I think it's important for them to recognize their weakness right now in defense, losing a lot of free agents. And I think George Karlaftis would be a good Karlaftis. I think I said tits. Reading some of these names is
it's hard. It's okay.
It's hard when you're talking fast.
You're doing your best. It's fine. Fair enough.
So Karlaftis is going to be on the Bengals.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, they need it. All right, and last but not least, number 32 overall is, once again, the Detroit Lions. This is the Matthew Stafford trade in effect here. What happens here, Matt?
I really wish that the Lions had the first overall pick so that we could start and end with the Lions, but alas.
Nah, fell short of that.
Yep. The Lions are in a rebuild, and I think that this is their chance to grab the perfect quarterback for them, and they're going to pick Matt Corral.
Oh, there you go. All right. So Matt Corral goes there, and that is the first round draft there. I am very proud of you, Chet. You did.
Thank you.
You kicked ass. You brought it all to the table. Ultimately, you had 3 quarterbacks taken. Of course, a boatload of wide receivers taken as expected. A lot of pass rushers, defensive players.
No running backs, though.
No running backs.
Don't draft a running back in the first round. It's not worth it.
Not worth it.
Never worth it.
Don't you dare do it. But there you go. Awesome. We did it.
We did it.
We got through it.
I did it.
You did it. You did it truly, actually. You carried the segment. All right. So thank you so much, Chet. I greatly appreciate you coming down. What's the plan for you this year? What after you froze yourself for a year? Do you have plans for like after the draft? Now that you are no longer you don't have to worry about it. Right now, right? What next year's draft's gonna be?
I'm gonna go visit the cheese caves.
I'm sorry. What are the cheese caves?
Oh, you don't know about the cheese caves?
I feel like I've seen this going around, but I don't know the details of this.
The United States government had some deal with Big Dairy.
Okay.
And so they just had to make a bunch of fucking cheese with it. That's where the whole Got Milk campaign came from.
Sure.
And then they made a bunch of fucking cheese, and they didn't know what to do with it. So there's underneath Missouri, there's just these fucking caves of cheese that are kept at a appropriate temperature for storing cheese.
Well, you know what? If we know that this society that we live in is going to collapse eventually. I hope it collapses thanks to the cheese caves, because I think that's the way I want to go out. Like that's
of course,
that's the way I want life on this planet to end for me, is via cheese. And that's
French catacombs, nah. Missouri cheese caves.
That's the way to go. That's the way to go. All right. Well, yeah. So have fun with the cheese caves. I hope you dive deep, and then ultimately we'll make sure you get pulled out in time to start looking at future quarterbacks for the 2023 draft. As for everyone else at home, I want to thank you guys. It's been a bit, like we said. We're gonna see if we can get back on some kind of schedule. We of course need to wrap up VVBFL. I have some ideas with that that I'll definitely talk to Matt about. But I will want to I ultimately we want to be able to stick the landing on season 2 and then work hard to see how we want to shape season 3 in the future. But of course, we're gonna be here, and we'll keep on putting out episodes. We'll see what kind of shenanigans we get down with during the off season. So just stay tuned, stay subscribed to us on your podcast feeds, follow us on Twitter, keep track of those updates, of course. And we will be back. The NFL schedule is going to be coming out in a few weeks, and maybe that's when we'll have another episode. But we'll see how that goes. Life is settling down now for both of us, and so it's getting in good. We're getting in good position right now. So, anyways, thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Good night, and good Chet. That's what he says at the end there, right?
Yeah, it's something along those lines.
Okay. Virtual Ball Boys has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Virtual Ball Boys and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.